Hello, welcome back. All right. I hope I hope you understand yeah, so kidney is very important for our urinary system and I hope you get like some uh you know a clear view about what's going on with our urinary system or the organ system involved in the renal in the urinary process. So let's look into the nephron. That is a functional unit of the kidney, and its function basically involve the filtration. That is a key thing. When we examine a kidney function, we basically examine the filtration rate. But it does other thing too. It does the reabsorption and secretion. We call it reabsorption because all these things in the blood, in the nephron, it's not our first time absorb them. We absorb them the first time in the intestine. So we just filter them through and then we take it back. And so we call it reabsorption. So the Bowman's capsule is right here. This is where the urine begins. So it comes from the afferent arteriole. Every artery carry the blood. This is arterial artery, the smaller artery. So it has huge blood pressure to push this fluid into it. So going into the capillary, and so with that fluid pressure, they push the fluid out. So we call it filtration. This process, this glomerula, this capillary is called glomerulus, is very much like a strainer. So only very small things will get filtered through. What are the small things? Basically, is monomer, like glucose, amino acids. So we learned about the molecule. We know the monomer of carbohydrates. We know the monomer of protein. So glucose, amino acids, and also those uh, uh, ions like sodium, uh, chloride, those little things. Just single, sodium, single chloride, yeah, or yeah, H2O, water. So those things will get filtered too, but large thing won't. So what's the large thing? First, red blood cell. Here you have a lot of red blood cell. It's big, it's single cell. It has many proteins inside, so it's big. They won't get filtered too, just like these grapes. This fruit, strawberry maybe. They won't get filtered too. So if you see the urine red, oh, that's bad thing. You shouldn't because you should keep them in the blood vessel. Yeah. So that's that. And after going into the glomerulus, just keep in mind that glomerulus here, glomerulus or glomerular capillary, glomerulus is capillary. Yeah. And then after entering into the filter two, the remaining of fluid will go into the efferent arteriole. So that's that. Now again, efferent arteriole is also arterial, it's artery, so it also carry fluid, pretty strong blood pressure. So fluid push in and push out, the fluid pressure remain to be very strong. This leads us a problem that we need to deal with, which is that with this large pressure, can capillary handle it? You need to know that capillary is single layer of the blood vessel. So it's very thin. It also porous. Like capillary is place we have substance exchange. So this structure is not supposed to withhold large pressure. So with this large fluid pressure, can capillary hold on to it? The answer is no, capillary cannot. So in addition to provide some support to that structure, we have something to wrap around it. This something is called podocytes, right here, podocytes. So podocytes quiz question. Where do you find podocytes? Podocytes is in the capillary, in the glomerulus. It is associated with glomerulus. So podocytes is a cell that wrap around this capillary. So it provides additional support. So you can see that this is a cell body. Cell body has a lot of like process, like hands to wrap around capillary. Yeah. So that is the cells to maintain the structure of the capillary. It also provides these filtrates to determine the size of the filtrates. Uh, which one can go out, which one cannot. If it's larger than this filtrates, does it say here? I mean, it doesn't that. So then it cannot go out. Yeah. So it also set the size, the strainer's size, basically. Yeah. So that's the Bowman capsule. Then after that, the fluid urine will go into the proximal convoluted tubule. Here, podocytes, using one slide to emphasize the importance of it. So podocytes is one, here, filtration slits. So this process, this hands form the slits, and that slits determine which or the size limit for the filtration. So you call food process. You can call it hand. Nobody call it hand process, but it's like hand holding onto it. Food process. So this one summarizes the Nephron work, and it worked with the blood vessel. The blood vessel has two capillary. One is glomerulus, the other one is peritubular capillary. And so you need to know the sequence: afferent arterial, glomerulus, efferent arterial, peritubular capillary, and then going back to the renal vein. These two capillary perform different function. Glomerulus perform the function called filtration, right here, filtration. Peritubular capillary perform two functions. One is called reabsorption, the other one is called secretion. And then the summation of these is excretion. So this one, yeah, summarize what we have learned today. And this one basically is a foundation for urinary process. The remaining is just the transportation, but to produce urine, this is the key. This place is the the major area to produce, to finalize the components of the urine. Yeah, so we talk about that, urine formation. So after knowing this, we know that urine will transport from or go all the way into the bladder. And here we are looking at male and the female. So the urinary system, after all, do not have too much of difference in the kidney between male and female, in the ureter, in the bladder. The location of bladder is a little bit different between female and male. But the major difference between male and female is the urethra. So after the bladder, you have the urethra. In the female, the urethra is shorter. The male urethra is longer because it goes through the penis. Another thing we can also see here is this organ called prostate. Prostate is located around the beginning of the urethra, and its function, prostate's function, is to energize the sperm, because urethra for male is not just a urinary system; it's also a reproductive system, because sperm will go out, will get ejected through urethra, and the sperm will need to be re-energized, be energized by the fuel provided by prostate. And so that is a difference. And so you can see that that is male-female difference. And here again, you can see the difference as a sagittal view. So the major difference here is the bladder. So in the male bladder is a little bit higher in the pelvic cavity, but in the female is lower because it has the uterus on top of it. This is a ovary uterus, and the bladder is lower, and it also has a shorter urethra right here. Male has a longer urethra because it goes through the penis. Another thing that we also need to know is that here is the testis. This is the male gonads, produce a sperm going into the pelvic cavity, going through the prostate, then going to the urethra to eject the sperm out. So urethra for male is not just the urinary system, it also is involved in the reproductive system. But in the female, urethra is only for the urinary system. It's only used to produce urine, but not for any reproductive purpose. Yeah. Here is the the uterus, yes. Over uterus, yes. And then vagina right here. So this is the reproductive system. In the back here, you have the end of this large intestine, and then unus right here. Sorry, anus right here. So this is, where you poop things out. So that's the difference between male and female. So talking about the urethra and the bladder, what we need to know is that urethra is the final tube to release the urine, and so they are muscle control. You want to make sure that you are in the restroom so you can pee it out. Even though you probably has a full bladder already, you need to hold on to it. So this tube need to be controlled by your voluntary control. So the urethra has two sphincter to control its opening. One sphincter is internal sphincter, right here, internal sphincter. The other one is the external sphincter, So internal sphincter is not by your voluntary control, but your voluntary control. So the outlet of the urine is controlled by two doors. One is internal sphincter, the other one is external sphincter. And the final outdoor, the external sphincter is controlled by your mind. If it's not ready, then you won't let it go. The internal one is not controlled by your mind, it's controlled by your body. And it's controlled by the sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is fight or flight. So when you pee, you need to relax, right? You relax, then you are not in the fight or flight. You go into the less fight or flight, then it opens. And you mentally control your external sphincter, then you pee out. You need to relax to open the internal sphincter, and you need to mentally say it's okay. Then you relax your external sphincter, then you pee out. Here I'm showing you the external sphincter in the inside of our pelvic floor. What I'm showing you here is that, from the inferior view, you can see that this is a female, but you can also see here is a male. They have something similar, which is that they all have urethra, external sphincter. So this is very outer portion, the muscle. This muscle is controlled by your mental. So here, this external sphincter is part of the pelvic floor muscle. So pelvic floor has many layers of the muscle. The most outer layer right here, there's something you are very familiar with. That's the gluteus maxima. That's your butt muscle. And next to that, you have the anus. This is for your poop, right? For your poop to going out. You also have the external anal sphincter. So you control your poop, like you want to poop, but it's not right time. External anal sphincter control that. Here is the external urethral sphincter. This one control your pee. So that's that. So when you relax your muscle right here, relax your external urethra or external, when you poop right here, when you relax your external urethra, you don't really allow poop. But when you relax your external anal sphincter, you very much relax a lot more pelvic floor muscle. So when you poop, you relax, you allow the poop to coming out, and you can also sometimes will relax to a level that you will also pee out. And you are in the restaurant, you feel that's comfortable, that's okay. So it's very common that after pooping, you will also urinate. That's because your external anal sphincter is relaxed, and that brings the entire pelvic floor to be relaxed, and leading to the relax of the external urethral sphincter. Here again, we can see that external urethral sphincter is in the male. It's also right here. So it's right here, right here. External urethral sphincter right here. So you relax, then urine will going from the bladder. Here is the prostate. So for some aging male, when the prostate swell, it um, obstruct the urethral passage, and it make the urination very much more difficult. Uh, yeah. For a healthy person, that's no problem with that. Here is external urethral sphincter, and so it relax. Then urine will go through the urethra, then pee out. You need to know that when you relax, right, and then you finish urination, yeah, it will get closed again. But you need to know this urethra is a little bit long, right? And so some urine may take a little bit time to kind of like drip it out. Yeah. So this is where you have this external urethra sphincter. Again, right here you have the external. What does it say here? Anal here, external anal sphincter right here. Yeah. So this is all part of the pelvic floor muscle right here. Yeah. So urination is also called micturition. Um, this one involves the control of the internal sphincter as well as external sphincter. So internal sphincter right here, internal sphincter is controlled by the sympathetic nerve. So when you are fight or fly, like in your busy day, it's closed. And so you don't need to mentally control it. It's just closed. And so you don't just pee them out. But when your bladder is full, it will send signal to the brain, let you know that your bladder is full. It will also switch it because bladder is kind of like, it's not digestive system, but it's visual system. So it's part of the digest and rest. And when it's full, then it will trigger the uh, the the body to switch back to parasympathetic, meaning that you need to pee. And so parasympathetic will contrast. Parasympathetic is for the digesting and resting, and the bladder is kind of like in the visceral portion. So parasympathetic will contrast the bladder to move this urine out. In the same time, your sympathetic will get turned down because parasympathetic is up. These two are opposite. Like if sympathetic is high, parasympathetic is down. When parasympathetic is high, sympathetic is low. And so the internal sphincter will open, will relax, ready to pee. But you have the final control by you, by controlling the external sphincter. So this one is controlled by you. Quiz question associated with these three muscle are, you need to know what causes the bladder contrast. Parasympathetic contrast the uh, bladder. Contracts contract the bladder. Sorry, my terminology. Contract the bladder. And the sympathetic contract the internal sphincter. Sympathetic contract the internal sphincter. And your mental control contract the external sphincter. So that's that. So this one showing you those nerve control. This parasympathetic contract the bladder. Sympathetic contract. Don't worry too much about this one yet. Contract the internal sphincter. Somatic meaning that your voluntary muscle that contract your external sphincter. They will send out the neurotransmitter in our next lecture. We will talk about, earlier lecture, we talked about the nervous system, so we should know this one already. So parasympathetic, in the end, it releases acetylcholine. Sympathetic release norepinephrine. So norepinephrine work on the receptor. Our motor neuron release acetylcholine, acting on the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. So we know this already. Yeah. So that's that. This one showing you the pelvic floor again. So just give you the idea that because pelvic floor are the muscle, are the skeletal muscle. So this muscle can be trained. And so it help you to, because especially female after the baby delivery, the uterus grow a lot through the pregnancy, and it gonna push these floor downward. And so there is a exercise called Kegel exercise. Basically try to train this pelvic floor muscle. And from here, we can also see the floor muscle again. Urethra, you have the external urethral sphincter. Vagina is the entering into the uterus. And then here is the anus. You have the external anal sphincter. And here is pelvic floor muscle. So that ends our lecture for the urinary system, just covering the very basic anatomy. And I hope it helps. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.